All right, our third video here. Welcome back. And one thing that came up for me as we were recording the last video was just the idea behind this being that we're friends helping you walk through this. As I was talking about my best friend in the last video, she's very like logical and linear, and I was imagining her being like, I have the sheet, why are we going through all of these questions verbally? Like, I have it in front of me. And the reason we're doing that is that this can be hard to think about, and it can be complex, and just having a space where you can land, having folks who are going to walk with you along the path in a simple way can help us kind of be able to get this done. So I just wanted to share that that's kind of the hope for this simple landing page, that'll be a place to land together.
I love that reminder. Thank you. It really is our heart. And we love being with other people who are living this out and talking about it, and it's their vocation, and it really matters to have these conversations about death. And so this last video is about having options. Like, we have options when we die on what to do with our bodies. And so our friend Becky Davis is here with us to share some more about that. She's an advanced planning consultant with the Natural Funeral, and a friend, and somebody that we are so grateful to connect with, because she helps families and people consider what their options are. And one of the things that I'm so grateful for about you, Becky, is that you helped me know that there were more options than fire cremation, which was always what I had said I wanted, and burial being the two options. And then you're like, no, there's other options, and here they are. And it helped me so much. And then I shifted it because I researched it because of what you shared. And other people I know have learned from you. And so part of Mere Mortals is we want more people to learn from you that they have options. So I'm going to toss it over to you and just help us know more.
Thanks, Kathy. Yeah, I appreciate that. And Joe, I appreciate you guys inviting me to be a part of this. I came into this business in an interesting way. I was on the other side of life, I guess we could say, dealing with end of life issues with people and kind of taking care of people as they neared death. And in the process of that, I got connected with the folks at the Natural Funeral. And whenever the opportunity arose for me to make a switch, I hopped over to the after death side of things, and am really grateful to be able to be a part of the Natural Funeral, and super grateful to know that there are other options. You know, speaking personally, I don't want to die. I want to live forever. I want to experience everything. I don't want to miss anything. And so it was difficult for me to think about my own death. But once I did that and kind of made myself go there and decide what I wanted my death to look like, my best case scenario, and then what I wanted to happen with my body afterward, I actually felt very empowered. And it had the opposite effect on me than what I was thinking. And so now, as an advanced planning consultant, I get to help people think about what they would want for all of those things to look like. And so it's been really a beautiful experience. So you're right. The options that most people know about are flame or fire cremation and traditional burial, where the body's placed in a metal casket in the ground with a concrete vault, and with embalming and all of the things. And we are offering more options than just those two. And so I'll just tell you about the three options that we offer that are most popular with people. And the first one is just an earth burial, where it is still a burial and it still requires a cemetery plot or You can be buried on your own property if you have property, but your body's just placed into the ground. There's no metal casket, there's no concrete vault, there's nothing to keep your body from going back into the earth the way, it was created to do. So those ceremonies are beautiful. I'm going to get to help with one on Sunday that I'm excited about. They're always lovely. The body's usually shrouded, sometimes in a wicker tray or even a pine box, but just all ecologically friendly materials, organic materials that eventually go back into the earth. And so it's a beautiful way for the body, for a disposition for a body, and a lovely place for family to come and visit if they would like to do that. And so the next option would be water cremation, which is what you spoke about, Kathy. And it is, the fancy name for that is alkaline hydrolysis. And it's where the body is placed in a vessel with 12 to 13 gallons of warm water and some alkaline chemicals that we rock the body back and forth for 3 to 4 hours. And during that time, the body transforms into a liquid. And so it's a very fascinating process. We take the skeletal remains out and we put them through a cremulator, which transforms those skeletal remains into a powder. So it's similar to ashes, except they're white, instead of gray. And there's a little bit more because nothing was burned away. And so those bone cremains can be returned to the family. And then the water that's left over, we neutralize it and bring it into a healthy pH balance for the earth. And it becomes a bionutrient fertilizer. And so an average size human can fertilize a 600-acre flower farm for up to a year. So it's just a beautiful way for your body to be used to nourish the earth from which you came. And so that we call it liquid essence, and it's available for the family can have as much as they want. An average sized human, well, for every 100 pounds, there's 30 gallons of liquid essence. So it's kind of a lot for a family to take, and it has to be diluted 400 to 1. That's how rich it is to be able to use. So that, you multiply 30 times 400, that's a lot of liquid essence to use in your own flower gardens. So we donate the rest to a network of farms that we work with, and it's all used to go back in to nourish the earth. Colorado has a couple of rules with regard to liquid essence, and that is one, that we cannot sell it, and the other is that we cannot donate it for food production. So we donate to nature preserves, flower farms, tree farms, that type of thing, where there's no food production. And then any medical hardware in the body, such as an artificial hip or a knee, something like that, we recycle that through a medical recycling company. And so it's nothing goes to waste. It's very ecologically friendly. And not only that, but it's actually giving back. So it's a beautiful way to plan for your body disposition. And then the other option that we have is fairly new. It just became legal in Colorado in September of 2021, and it's called body composting, or natural organic reduction. And that is where we place the body in a vessel layered with organic materials such as wood chips, alfalfa, and straw. We make a little bed on the bottom, lay the body in, layer some more organic material on top, then pour over a composting tea, seal that vessel up, and then we monitor the oxygen, the heat, and the moisture levels. And when the time is right, we rotate that compost in that bin to accelerate that transformation process. And then in 2 to 4 months, that body is transformed into a cubic yard of regenerative living soil. And it is beautiful. It's dark, it's rich, it's moist. It's really it's I hate to say beautiful, but it really is a beautiful product that comes out from that, and that we also donate to that network of farms whatever families don't take for themselves. Our families are very creative with what they do. One of the things at the Natural Funeral that we strive to do is help people do what they want. And so we don't have like a menu of items. We have suggestions of what we can do, and then they take it and run with it. And so we've had families that have planted trees with the composted soil in the park down the street, so they have a place to remember their loved one and to walk by. Maybe they put that composted soil on their flower garden in the backyard. Maybe they take it to their favorite nature preserve and spread it out. It's really, the sky is the limit. We had a family, more than one family, who put some of the soil in mason jars, and people who came to the service when they planted the tree were able to take home a piece of their friend. And so it's really lovely what people come up with for that. And so those are our most popular options, are those three, because of the ecologically friendliness of them, and then because they're different. And it doesn't mean we have the option for everybody, but it does mean that you have more options besides traditional burial or a fire cremation. And you have options that are friendly to our planet, kinder to your body itself, and they kind of live on that way. So yeah, it's beautiful. I love what I get to tell people about.
Yeah, just listening to you, I mean, the part that I'm just reminded of is that we really do have options, and each person is individual and loves certain things and values certain things, and just knowing that these are possibilities. So one question that I had that I just wanted to clarify, you're in Colorado, and so people who are engaging with this could live anywhere. What happens, what's happening in other states, or what are the rules and those kinds of things in that department for these
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the body composting is becoming legal in more states. I think there are 6 right now that have the procedure is legal. There are only 4 companies currently that are actually doing the composting, and the other 3 are in Washington state. So if you don't live in Washington state or Colorado, you don't have somebody near you that does the composting, but we can get you to us. And so what we would do if someone called us and wanted to do body composting and lived in another state is we would visit with them about how best to make that happen. And we usually work with a funeral home in their state to arrange transportation for them. And then we pick them up here in Colorado and bring them into our care and do the composting process with them. If they're closer to Washington state, then we would refer them to our friends in Washington. And hopefully, we are expanding. We're to other states. And so hopefully by the time people hearing this need it, we will be somewhere nearby. But if not, we can always get you to us. It's just kind of a process. The best thing to do is just give us a call, no matter where you live, and we can talk you through that process of what would happen should you want the composting to be done and you lived in another state. The same with water cremation. Water cremation is more common than the body composting, but I don't believe it is legal in every state at this point either. So we also don't do any embalming or any unnatural processes with the bodies. So all of our care is, like our name says, natural.
Yeah, there's such a different intimacy with some of these processes than we have in our traditional methods. Like, I lived in India for a time, and in Kolkata, Hindus who passed away would go down to the Ghats by the river and watch their body burn, and carrying them, and that communal process of carrying them down, and like, was just such an intimate connection with death that we kind of talked about this in the first video, that we sterilize a little bit. And so it's really beautiful to see that there's some more options that are coming that can kind of help restore that communal and more intimate relationship with that.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's another real value that we have, is inviting the family to participate with us in whatever way is meaningful for them. So we have a ritual that we offer that's called reverent body care, and that's where the family can participate with us in helping to send that body on its journey. So whatever that looks like, a lot of religions have their own traditions, and we support whatever that would be, whether it's keeping the body at home and not moving it for 3 days, then we will come and help with that, with icing or whatever is needed to keep, for them to be able to keep that body at home. Or we invite families to come here to, I'm actually in our little chapel that we have at the funeral home, and we invite families to come here, and they can wash the hands and the face of their loved one and just sort of have that final time with them. And we can help lead the family in holding space for that, or help lead that, or we can step out and let the family just have it and do what they want. And nobody has ever walked out of this room and said, I wish I hadn't done that. It's always very beautiful. And we take care of all of the cleaning of the body and preparing the body for burial, but we invite the family to participate with us as much as they want into saying that final kind of farewell, or sending them on to the next part of their journey. So it's really those times are very beautiful.
Oh, well, the part that I want as we begin to transition to the last piece of just talking a little bit about dying with dignity, which is also, we mentioned, is not in every state, but it's in some, and just good for people to know. Before we do that, I just want to name something about traditional forms of fire, flame, cremation, and burial, that if that's what you love and you want and feel comfortable, that's what you need to say. And so presenting this, we can hear this and go, oh my gosh, there's like, oh my gosh. And then others that go, oh, that is so comforting to me to hear that. And so I have options. And so that's what we want in the Mere Mortals framework, is it's all about our own individual preferences and hopes.
Yeah, and I can even add to that. My mom passed. This is, as of recording, we are in August, the end of August. My mom passed away in January, and she had already planned everything and paid for everything, and it was very traditional. She had a metal casket. Not only was it metal, but it was pink metal, and she had a gravesite, and she's buried in it with a concrete vault in that metal casket right next to my dad. She's embalmed. She has on her best dress. It was everything that she wanted. And, even being in the business that I'm in, it gave me such comfort to know that it was just wonderful to do exactly what she wanted. And so I love that you said that, Kathy, because that is the main thing, is to know all of your options so you can make the decision that's right for you.
So right as Becky was sharing about her mom and kind of us embracing this importance of just honoring that we are all in different places, and we want to honor people's wishes, and we want other people to honor ours, my power went out. So I froze. And so we're back together and we're rearranged. But I think we covered the ground that we really wanted to, and that is that we have options. And so there's links on our Mere Mortal site to just follow and to research and to have conversations about. And that's what I am so grateful. In my Mere Mortals worksheet, what I do have is I say that I wanted it, and I said, here's the website, thenaturalfuneral.com. My friend Becky Davis is there. if she's not there anymore when I die, someone else can take care of you. And so like, that's the most important thing, is just to do a little bit of research and see, and then reach out to them to talk for more information. And then if you're in other states, and see what your state has and what your options are. The biggest thing is that it's wider than maybe we were taught. The other thing about end of life things, and this is for people with terminal illnesses, and we mentioned this in the worksheet, but is dying with dignity, or medical assisted dying is what it's called in Colorado. It's called different things in different states, and not all states have approved this. It's a state legislation thing. And this is the ability for people to have medical assistance in dying, instead of following all of the hospice protocols to the end, but actually drinking a concoction that will help you die in really dignifying and simple way, and just put you to sleep. And so that you don't have to do certain suffering things in a terminal illness. And so it's very controversial in some circles, and then in others, it just feels like such a grace. And so I have had the honor of doing several of them and just walking through the process. And it's not, I want to say something about this briefly, and that is that it gets twisted, and anybody can do it, and then it's euthanasia, and anyone, there's a very clear process on it that involves a lot of people. And so it does give people choice. And this video is about, we have options. And so, Becky, that's been some of your work before you were with the Natural Funeral, some of your work in traveling with people who were on hospice. And so can you just help us just briefly better understand that, so people can look into that if that's something that they want to at least explore?
Yeah, and I do think it's important that it be a choice, but that doesn't mean it's everybody's choice, or that it's for everybody. And honestly, I think most people probably would not qualify for that. And so there is a process of doctor visits, and having a second opinion, and a psychological consult, and all of those things before. And a lot of people that get approval, and then they get the prescription for the medication, they don't even ever fill the prescription. It's something about just knowing that they could, that empowers them to know that they can make their own decisions. And I just feel like, especially regarding death, there's so much that's outside of our control, that anything that we can think through in advance and plan for in advance is helpful, whether or not we go that route with the end. And so the people that I've walked with had terminal cancer, and they were cancers that were, I think everybody, in fact, that I walked through with has had pancreatic cancer, which can be very painful at the end. And so they opted into checking on medical aid in dying, or medical assisted in dying. And then whenever it did get to where they were like, I'm done, this is I've reached the point where I feel good about going ahead and moving on to the next journey. And they were surrounded by their loved ones, and drank the medication, and then and you're right, they just simply went to sleep. And it was really lovely. I was honored to be a witness at these. And I come from a background that I would have never thought I would be okay with that, much less kind of attending it. And it really, there's something beautiful about someone taking charge of something that's so difficult. So I think it's a lovely option that is definitely not for everybody, but it should be available for those that choose it, for sure. There are, I will say this, there are people who will host you, so I have friends who have a room that's beautiful, and that you can come and spend a few days or however long with your family or with your closest friends, however you would choose to spend that. And then it can be a beautiful time rather than just a horrific time of intense pain. So
Yeah, so we have options.
we
We
have
have options. And that is what this is about. And then the Mere Mortals template is to adapt and use however works for you. And then to remember that those other legal documents are really important and they do matter. So none of this is to supersede that. There is something about a personal narrative that helps people know what from your heart, what you want them to know and to consider, and then it's written down somewhere.
Mm. And I just want to acknowledge too that if this idea that we just talked about is totally new to you, like, and you're like, what dystopian thing is happening here because it's not legal in your state. I remember the reason it came up is I remember when it passed in Colorado, and at my parents' church, the whole sermon was about how horrible our world has fallen, and like how far we, and like, I can't believe this is a legal thing, and that, so if you're feeling a visceral response, that's okay. And it's just know that it's there, but it's not anything. Like if you're like, no, I don't even want to look at it, I don't even want to think about it, it's not in my faith construct, it's not in my worldview construct, it's okay. So with all of this, like, one of my favorite phrases in life in general is eat the chicken, spit out the bones. So like, sorry for the vegetarians. I'm trying to think what the equivalent would be. Eat the edamame, spit out the shell. So, so, but just what nourishes you, what feels true to who you are in your faith journey or your non-faith journey or whatever in your life in this whole process, just honor that and hold it. And then the things that aren't, they're like, that's not me, just let it go. And this is for you in the essence of, in the entirety of who you are. So just feel that freedom and just breathe. I mean, if that brought up stuff for you, just breathe through that and just return back to like, what is alive for me? Maybe that's not for me, but what's alive for me?
Yeah, thank you for that. And thank you, Becky, for the work that you do and helping educate and expand and options, and everything that we hope for really is more of that. And so to be more brave, even though it's hard, and you mentioned that at the beginning, like, I don't want to talk about that. You were in some training, I don't want to talk about that in my own. I can deal with other people's, but I don't want to talk about my own. And so this is brave work. It's brave work. It's vulnerable work. And I hope that as you're engaging with this, that you will find support if you need it. If you're a person that can just do it and bang it out and do it, do it. But if you need some support and to find somebody, hey, I'm trying to finish this, can we talk about it? And then one thing that we put out on our website that is true is that we are more than happy to support any groups or organizations that want to bring people together. As we mentioned at the beginning, I mean, 26 people in one room processing this was really special. And what everybody said is, it's weird to be doing this. It's weird to be laughing about what about Bob, and then also talking about these things. But this feels right because it's human. And so we would love to be part of creating those spaces virtually or in person, whatever we can do to support that actually more people would engage with things beyond only advanced medical directives and wills. And so those are very crucial documents. They're important, but this personal narrative and just being more open about it, and then being able to change it as your life changes, or you think, your experience changes, and have it be a living and working document while we're here.
It's a beautiful final gift for those left behind, to know, just like it was for me with my mom, to know that I was doing exactly what she wanted and that she had it all planned out for me. It was a beautiful final gift from her to me. And so I think it's nice to leave this world leaving a final gift for those that you love. So.
All right.
All right, deep breath, everybody. Glad that you've traveled this road with us. Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, the refuge community who engaged with this and practiced, because it really did help us and inspire us. And so we'd love to hear from you. And thank you for finding your way here, and just make courage and peace and wisdom and clarity come as you do this process, whatever that looks like for you.
Yeah, and use the resources on this page and contact us anytime, as Kathy said.